what is Skoda all about? Modern and solid. This modern solid, you can really translate into our design language, the attributes. You can see them, you can feel them.
Well, Klaus, firstly, thank you very much for letting me be your chauffeur in London today. A beautiful day in London. What is this model we're in?
Well, it's the Enyaq that we've been successfully selling globally, but very, very successful here in the UK. We just gave it a little bit of a facelift with the new brand design, the modern solid design with a tech deck in the front. We just became number 2 in Europe with our battery electric vehicles, and we only have the Enyaq, Enyaq Coupe, and the Elrock. And we're actually putting a big footprint into the battery electric vehicle market, and the Enyaq, of course, is a big player in that. The future is electric, so this is why it's great that we have the Enyaq being in such a successful spot in the moment.
Why is the future electric?
Oh, because if you take efficiency of energy you convert into mobility, nothing beats electric engines. It could be electrified drivetrains like we have the plug-in hybrids, a bridging technology with the current Kodiaq and the Superb.
And what's the pitch to my neighbours? I always reference Martin and Gull, who live next door to me. If they come to me and say, "Why should we buy an electric car?" What's your pitch? Why should they buy an electric?
We all know about electric machines, electric motors, and electric systems that need less maintenance. It's a quiet ride. It's better for the environment. But I always tell people who are interested in battery electric vehicles, it also depends on their driving habits. So if you're a regular person going long distance and you mind brakes, you want to get somewhere fast without taking brakes on a regular basis, you might want to look into a plug-in hybrid. We're not religious about pushing everybody into the battery electric vehicle direction. One of my favorite sentences when I explain the emotional motives and rational motives of people buying cars, they always buy cars for the least probable cause. So right. they buy a Combi because last year at IKEA they had this big box and had to then fight with each other to build build shelves. But they buy it for that. They say we need a Combi, or we need an all-wheel drive, or we need a convertible. I need a long-distance car. You can easily go long distance with battery electric vehicles, but you might have to change your habits, and this is what you need to be open for.
I think in the UK, the average mileage that somebody drives every year is 7,000 miles a year these days, which is way less than it used to be. Why is there this disconnect? Because once people experience an electric car, they do like it, and once they live with an electric car, they realise that they can live with an electric car. Not many people go back, do they? But why is it such a struggle to get people into them in the first place? Is it because of all the bad stories that are untrue?
Yeah, there are stories that are true and not true, because you have to change your behavior. You have to change your preferences. You have to change, maybe even your ideology with some people. And change takes time, and change takes trust, and change, takes, you have to create the right prerequisites, charging stations, infrastructure, electricity prices. There's so many factors that come to play. So it's a lot easier to just stay where you are. You have your petrol station, you go there, you fill up your tank. If it's a diesel car, you're ready for 400, 500 miles easily. And people enjoy that kind of psychological safety. And they feel jeopardized with an electric car not to have that freedom. Rationally, we all know it's irrelevant.
Has the fact that EVs haven't taken off at the speed that everybody was hoping and expecting them to take off, how has that affected your business? I mean, what a business needs is certainty all the time, doesn't it? Have you had to sort of quick U-turn on your strategy and change your product strategy to react to that?
Unfortunately, in the car industry, there's no quick U-turn when you talk about development cycles. We need 3 to 4 years to develop a new car. For a facelift, we need 2 to 3 years, and this is fast. So you can't make quick turns. You have to anticipate, and you have to keep all avenues open. And this is what we did at Skoda. We said that, at the end of the day, consumers make choices, and we are there to provide choice. This is why, for example, we have in our entry level, we have the Fabia, the Kamiq, and the Scala. And we just extended their life cycle from an original end of life cycle in 27 to now beyond 30, because we just see consumers still demanding efficient, small, affordable cars like the Fabia, Kamiq, and Scala. And so we need to keep those avenues open. At the same time, we need to manage that transformation that we are all asked and responsible for in order to cut down CO2 emissions.
Is it harder for Skoda? I always say it's hard to make a great small car, and it's much easier to make a great big car because the margins are greater. But your business is based around affordable, somewhat smaller cars. You know, you've said about the 7S, the 7-seat SUV, that's going to be your biggest car.
Yes.
The rest of the range, the belly of your range, is in something much smaller.
Yeah.
Does that make it harder for Skoda?
I think we're value for money. I think this is really one of our mantras that we will always keep. And yes, the margins are getting smaller the smaller the car is. Now, with the challenges that we have with battery electric technology, especially the battery itself, representing 40% of the cost of a BEV, this is where we struggle. This is where we need to fight. I mean, we were the first ones in the industry to offer price parity between the L-Rock and its sibling, the Karoq. So you could choose for the same price either a conventional drivetrain or the battery electric vehicle, but not at the same margin.
I was going to say that's got to hurt you as a business, hasn't it?
It doesn't. I mean, our cars always have to make money, but of course, the margins on combustion cars, combustion engine cars, are still higher.
What's your gut instinct in terms of the European Union? There's a lot of rumor going around that the 2035 date for the ban of internal combustion engine new car sales may be pushed back. Do you think it will change? And what's your view on it if it does?
Yeah, I don't have such a big problem with a 2035 deadline. What I have a problem with is that in 2035, we're going to have 290 million cars in the car park of Europe. Out of the 290 million cars, if all goes according to plan with battery electric vehicle sales that are ambitious, 1/3 is battery electric vehicles. So round about 200 million cars are conventional combustion cars.
So why carbon coming out of the
why wouldn't we open up the avenues now to also let engineers find solutions for CO2 emissions we need to cut also for conventional engine technology?
And we're still 10 years away. There's a lot of new cars to be sold between now and 2035. Does that mean that you are continuing to develop petrol engines, diesel engines, hybrid engines, or does there come a time when you think, look, we're just going to have to stop that?
There will be a time when we will have to stop it if there is a dead end. But on the other side, as you say, it's a 10-year window. We don't need 10 years to make those decisions. We can make them within a couple of months, a couple of years. But generally speaking, yes, we still further develop our combustion engines. We still make them more efficient. We still look for cutting edge technology. We looking at our drivetrain with a plug-in hybrid. I mean, that's top-notch technology. You get up to 130 kilometers e-range. The CO2 emission, according to WLTP, is less than 10 grams. Of course, that requires charging the plug-in hybrid to fully utilize its electric potential, which then causes zero emissions from a CO2 point of view. But now it's actually worth charging because 120 or let's say more than 100 kilometers e-range, that's where it makes sense to use our technology, which is top notch with 50 kilowatt charging power, so fast charging, to then do 90% of your driving in electric mode, and we're going to further invest and further develop those type of technologies.
What part do sustainable fuels, e-fuels, play, do you think? I mean, is it just shifting the problem from one area to another one, and they're expensive?
There's certain use cases, not just in the car industry. The heavy trucks, ships, aircrafts. If the energy density in a battery is still relative to its weight, not the right technology for aircrafts, for example. So we will need some form of CO2 minimized for those fuels, in order to then fuel aircrafts. We will need that going forward as well. So why not open up the avenues also for the car industry and that? Now, many people say, by definition, anything with a combustion engine creates CO2, but you take the CO2 out of the atmosphere when you create the fuel, the e-fuel. So it is a zero, almost zero CO2 footprint you can use, despite the fact that you have a combustion engine and driven by conventional technology.
Do you think that with hindsight, we as an industry we're talking about here, and as the media, we got very excited. Did we go too fast too soon with electric cars?
The biggest impulse and the biggest guardrail for our way forward was, of course, regulation. In 2019, CO2 compliance was defined, and also the way to get compliant. And the compliance that you have to adhere to is mainly driven by the selling battery electric vehicles. The adaptation and the customer sentiment is not where it has to be in order to then be on that trajectory of battery electric vehicle sales. And this is where we were too ambitious, but not as car manufacturers, as a society. Not as an industry, but everybody. We're in many countries too slow to create the charging infrastructure. Energy prices are too high, and there are psychological barriers with people that say, I don't want to change my behavior. I feel totally fine with my car, that conventional technology. So we have to help people understand with bridging technology like mild hybrids, plug-in hybrids, and then battery electric vehicles. But we have to, at the end, respect that buying decisions are made by individuals with their individual preference.
You always seem to have hedged quite nicely. You've had a good range of, as you say, internal combustion engine cars with various hybrid technologies. You didn't seem to go all in as quickly as others. Is that fair?
It's fair because we are convinced that you have to keep the avenues open, and it costs a little bit of money to have such a big portfolio. But at the end of the day, you much rather cater for consumers' preferences than for dictating what you think is right. Because rationally, the end game is electric. Either electrified or electric. So we are all aware of that. And it would be wonderful if we could flip a switch and everybody would be totally happy with one technology. But that's not the reality.
It's not going to happen, is it? Let's talk about the models that still sell brilliantly. People still love Fabia, Scala, Kamiq, Kodiaq, Karoq. Those cars are just going to have to be continually developed now. There's no point in investing in whole new platforms or new technologies for those cars. Is that the case? Just constant development?
Yes, you're right. I mean, the way we have to manage our investments and, in the car industry, into platforms and hats to come up with derivatives of individual models, this is big investment. So you have to be careful not to overinvest and to keep scale for your individual derivatives. With our platforms that the conventional technology, including plug-in hybrids or mild hybrids, sit on, I think we are in a very good spot. The battery electric vehicle platforms, there will be more evolution in those. We have the current platform, the MEB, that would be followed by the next platform that will then also enable autonomous drive, more efficient technology in terms of battery and electric machine.
Let's talk about your EV range then. We're in the Enyaq, which is it's a lovely thing. It's very posh. We'll come back to that in a minute. But next up is the Epic, which is a smaller vehicle, 25,000 euros. So I'm hoping that would equate to around 23,000 pounds. When will we be able to buy that?
Are we going to lift the curtain by the end of this year to really reveal more details about the car?
And at the other end of your EV range, you showed the 7S, the Vision 7S concept a while ago. That's still on track as a vehicle after Epic, I presume?
Yeah, that's going to be second half of 2026. It's going to be, a comparable size of the Kodiaq, but purely battery electric vehicle with the most modern drivetrain we have on battery electric mode. Originally, the car, was a concept car, but we managed to really keep a lot of brilliant ideas, design language in the production car as well.
That was the first vision of modern solid, wasn't it?
It was.
Which it's spoken about a lot. How do you describe what modern solid is?
And the best way to understand it is just look at the car, the Enyaq, or now the Enyaq with the new face, and the Epic will take that one step further. And the further step will be the 7S. We're not revealing the name yet of that car. What does it mean? It means, we initially looked at our design and, defined what is Skoda all about. And we took two attributes, modern and solid.
Yeah.
And this modern solid, you can really translate into our design language, the attributes. You can see them, you can feel them.
So 7S, whatever that might be called, obviously it will have to begin with an E and end in a Q, as all your EVs do. Good luck with that. Good luck running out of words there.
Yeah.
Also Octavia, you mentioned Octavia, the biggest selling vehicle, and you've committed to that going fully EV at some stage.
Yeah.
Let's not even go there with a name. But as an estate car, the estates are very big and very important for Skoda.
Oh, totally. I mean, it all depends what the market does. At the moment, the interesting trend that you see all over Europe, actually globally, is everybody goes SUV. Mm-hmm. But we have such a strong leg on, the conventional classic shapes of limousines or combis. That we're going to stick to that, and we're selling more than 200,000 new cars per year just with the Octavia in both body shapes, the hatch and the combi, so let's see what we come up with. It also depends on the shape. You can also imagine a crossover between a hatch and a combi, or estate as you call it. So Let me surprise you.
Okay, I like to be surprised. What sells more at the moment? Is it the combi or the limousine?
Yeah, the combi. The limousine is interesting because there's certain markets that insist on that kind of shape, like Turkey.
The market is becoming very crowded these days. You're pushing with new models, say two models that don't exist currently in the Epic and the 7S, whatever we end up calling the big SUV. How is Skoda going to continue to grow, particularly in the European market, where the market isn't getting any bigger, but the challengers, particularly from the Far East and others as well, are getting greater? There are so many more Chinese brands in the UK and Europe that weren't there 5 years ago. They all want a slice of your pie. How are you going to continue to grow?
By just being better, by facing competition and delivering more value to customers, be it with a car, be it with a cost, value for money, but also in the buying process and service process. Let's not forget many of the new entrants have totally underestimated the value of dealer partners. And I'm totally convinced myself, also from my own experience in other industries, having somebody who takes care of you. I think our growth driver for the years to come will be Epic, or can be Epic. That car is being produced in Spain, not in our factories in the Czech Republic that are currently fully utilized.
Yeah. India is a real opportunity for you guys. You guys seem to be playing in the Indian market and producing in the Indian market. Not everybody is yet.
Yeah, if you look at our footprint globally, at the moment, more than 80% of our sales is being now generated in Europe. And the rest outside Europe.
It's quite an exposure, isn't it?
Which is an exposure you want to hedge. And that's why, you want to look at a market that has got growth potential, but also size. And this certainly is India. Now in India, we have two plants, two factories. We have 4 hats, 4 derivatives, 2 for Skoda and 2 for VW that we produce there. And we just have added a third one, so overall 5th, which is the Enyaq. It's a so-called sub-4 meter car. The sub-4 meter car in India accounts for more than 50% of the overall market. And we have not had any car in that segment, which is very much preferred because of its tax benefits that you have if you're less than 4 meters long with your car. And that car is very successful. We just doubled our sales volume in the first 4 months of this year compared to last year.
Where does technology sit in Skoda's world, where it's been famous for its simply clever phrase and those wonderful features that your customers love and other people love, umbrellas in the doors, ice scrapers, and somewhere handy to a net to put your charging cable in, things like that. How does simple and technology go together?
You have to differentiate between legal requirements, which are now clearly set by EU law that if you exceed the speed limit, you're going to get a beep.
Yeah.
Now you can turn off that beep, but it has to be a conscious decision. And there's even a regulation that clearly defines on how you can turn it off. This is what we can do as a manufacturer. We have to comply with the law, even though we have complaints from customers that say, I don't need all this, but the law is the law.
Yeah. And what about this stuff that I see in front of me, this screen? You've adapted it, but it doesn't have the best reputation within your group. How can you make this simpler to use?
This is one of our main tasks, to simplify and not to make it more complicated, to make it intuitive. And actually, when we are in our development discussions, one of my questions is always, how can we take out visual noise? What is there that people do not really need?
It's distracting as well.
It's distracting. It has to be clear cut. And I think we've come a long way with our software. We were struggling initially. The good thing about software is, most of the time you can update it. And this is what we've been doing. And very recently, with the 5.4 version, we have a stable system with, hardly any glitches. We're very proud of. And our engineers have done a very good job correcting our initial path. But it's it's something you never stop. You must never get tired of trying to optimize the use of the front end of our software. If I may talk about the MQB, like the Superb and the Kodiaq, we have the so-called smart dials.
You have smart dials.
And
I love a dial, a switch, a knob, something that's physical.
And I think this is where we need to go. We need toggles, we need dials, we need something that you feel, and something that does not distract.
Yes, we've spoken a lot about technology, about the cars. Talk to me about the brand and how you managed the Skoda brand. Because I was talking to a friend of mine, and he said to me, "Skoda, I know Skoda. That's they're like VWs. They're as good as VWs, but cheaper." Are you happy with that?
No, that's not the story we want to convey. Because actually, from a technology point of view, that's not the case anymore. I think we're good value for money, certainly, like many other brands, including VW. I think we have an identity that goes beyond of what Skoda was a couple of years ago in terms of our design language. And it started with rebranding 3 years ago. We totally changed the logo on the car.
It just says Skoda. There's no winged logo.
Exactly. So we modernized everything to make it more timeless, more pleasing, more classy in a way. At the same time, keeping our recipe for success to deliver brilliant value for money with things that surprise you and make your life, make your life smarter.
It's difficult within the family, though, isn't it? Because I'm sitting in this car. I've been lucky enough over the past few days to be judging German Car of the Year, and one of the things that I'm going to be very honest that disappointed me was the quality of the Audi products that I was driving, from the key to some of the plastics. This Enyaq is in many ways better quality than an Audi. Does that get you into trouble within the group, saying, just Klaus, calm things down, put a few more cheap plastics in? You're in danger of people wanting Skodas more than they want Audis.
Yeah, I'm not in the position to judge about my valued colleagues from Audi, but our opponent is not Audi. Our opponent are all the brands outside the VW group, and that's where the expectations start. And if you take them coming from Korea, Japan, or in future from China, this is where we need to be better. Not internally. We need to be better than everybody coming from the outside. And I'm telling you, everything you see in China, coming from China to Europe, this is where we need to anticipate and be prepared. And the way they build cars, the quality they put into the cars,
The speed at which they change.
the speed, the innovation. This is where competition will happen going forward, not within the group.
So Skoda has to be the very best that Skoda can be against its rivals.
I couldn't have put it better.
There we go. Now, Skoda's got a history in sport. I drove the Enyaq VRS yesterday, which looked fabulous in the green, and a great car to drive. What's the future of sport and Skoda? Rallying, is that going to be on the agenda?
Yeah, it is on the agenda. I think our history is 130 years, and I think rally sport is something. It's exciting. It's affordable. Mm-hmm. It's not Formula One. This is not our destination, but it's something where our engineers can see, their brilliance, can show their brilliance, and see, whether we are competitive also in that high performance environment.
And does electrification play a role in that?
Yeah, funny enough, we have asked our Motorsport team to produce an Enyaq RS, but an RS that is truly RS. So they took 300 kilos out of the car. They enhanced its drivetrain, they enhanced its chassis, they replaced the skin basically with fiber materials. And I drove the car on special tires in our testing ground. It's mind-blowing.
Good fun?
Yeah, it's good fun. It's good fun. So, we're testing that as well. There's no racing series that is currently open for us to enter, but it's nice to play around with that, with the idea. Now, coming back to the RS, RS is emotionally driven, but performance driven at the same time. It's about 15% of the cars we sell that offer an RS variant. And this is how far we stretch our pricing. And with the Enyaq RS that you just drove, the car 5.4 seconds, 0 to 60 or 0 to 100K is quite something. And it's fun.
That's quicker than the Lamborghini Countach when it was first released.
I never compared it like
Trust
that.
Me, it is. Yes. Who would have ever thought that?
Yeah. True. Okay.
Now, talking about sport, I thought we were going to be heading towards Chelsea, but I thought we were going to be heading to the football club because you've got a relationship with the women's team, I understand, here in the UK, sponsoring the women's team. That's an important thing for you guys.
Yeah, we're looking for platforms where we can, first of all, push the values. Be it on diversity, on equality, and I think women's football is exciting. It's underpaid, and it's something that we also intrinsically find we have to show some commitment, but this is driven by our UK colleagues. This is not a Skoda headquarters initiative, because our central sponsoring strategy is different. We basically sponsor two big sports events. One is Tour de France, and the other one is ice hockey, the World Championship.
We're nearly there, so I have two final questions that I have to ask you. Now, this is a setup that's a little bit like carpool karaoke.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask you to sing, but if you're in the car and I wasn't here and you just needed to up your spirits, what would you put on the sound systems? And you have pretty decent sound systems in your cars as well. What would you be listening to?
Oh, fascinating!
Don't tell me that's the toughest question I've asked all day.
The funny thing is, I would probably listen to Queen.
Okay.
Bohemian Rhapsody or something. I absolutely love it. I wouldn't play We Are the Champions because that's too much in your face. But Bohemian Rhapsody, as an example, something that is probably closest to a Mozart kind of genius.
It's rock opera, isn't it?
It's wonderful. I love that. This puts me in good spirits. Any classical music as well. In terms of bands, nothing contemporary, nothing techno.
Queen's good because Thomas Schaefer was in the car and he also said Queen.
He did.
Yeah, so you're in good company there.
We're brothers in mind.
Exactly. His choice of track was Under Pressure, which which could have been taken in certain ways, but Queen is a good choice. So okay, we'll stick with Queen. The final question is, I have spent my career rating your cars,
Mm-hmm.
and I rate this, and particularly the L-Rock, pretty highly.
Mm-hmm.
How would you rate my driving?
Your driving is splendid. I never felt more comfortable with anybody driving me around. No, perfectly fine. I mean,
You got to give me a mark out of
except
10, Klaus.
except you get a 10, especially in this difficult environment where all you guys drive on the wrong side of the road.
Yeah, we can't say we drive on the right side of the road because clearly it's the left. But,
Exactly.
But Klaus, thank you. I really appreciate your time. It's always a pleasure and
Steve,
good
thank
fun.
you. No, same here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.